waiting for my restream to go live. Seriously.
Jerry, waiting on your YouTube?
Yep, I lost restream. All right, we're up now. Welcome, everybody. A little bit of technical difficulty
Recording in
there.
progress.
I apologize for that delay. Welcome to Mental Health Awareness. Thanks to everybody for joining us for this episode on June 26, 2023. This is another episode of JAWS Coffee Chat. We are joined today with Jennifer A. Whitaker, host of Coffee Chat, JAWS Coffee Chat, and also with C-Snaps, who's going to be helping us out today. Special thanks to Lawrence Wingate of Wingate TV, Marcus Hart of Transform U Media, Zach Clayton of the PAC channel, and Jay Stoyan of the Disability Channel for replaying all of our shows on their platforms. So I'm going to turn it right over to you, Jennifer. Take it away.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. It's another great day to be right here on JAWS Coffee Chat channel to see this live mental health awareness show. Last week you got to see for the first time our new main host, who is C-Snaps, and for her second session. And I'm now going to turn it to C-Snap to snap away with all kinds of great things to say.
A chat with C-Snaps.
Right. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Today, we are talking about fear, which is false evidence appearing real. That quote was given by Gary Buzzy. And the reason why we're talking about fear is because fear is another word for anxiety. Like a lot of times for the people who go to counseling, they're asking you, do you have anxiety or do you have depression? Well, if you don't know the difference between the two, then you might mistake one for the other when it's really not as bad as it seems. So today we're talking about anxiety and fear. So let's jump into it. Anxiety is a feeling of being worried, nervous about doing something that you've never done before, and just feelings of an uncertain outcome. So you, when you have those feelings, then it can be hard to overcome them for some reason. And so I deal a lot with anxiety as far as things that I go through in life. So what helps me out is sometimes just sitting back and going, hey, what is the simplest thing that I can do? Instead of just jumping and taking on the reins and trying to do everything all at once. Sometimes you have to start small and think about what you want to do. So for me, starting small would look like if I wanted to exercise. So it would look like doing that one thing, doing that on one block, or walking to the corner and back, depending on what look like. Yeah, so I would definitely do that. Does anybody have any other ways that they start where they build up into anything?
I'm kind of thinking of the simplicity we studied, the courageous simplicity.
Yes.
I feel like there's a cross between what we know that Bible say courageous simplicity is about. For biblical reasons, we need to be simple. And like in that Bible study we talked about, that was something that would help us reduce stress, such as like when I cleaned all my office space right here of this, at least the stuff that cluttered it and I didn't need, I felt a sigh of relief because it was less cluttered, right? Even though there's stuff I have to keep here and I have a system. Well, that reduced stress in my experience, and I think in a lot of people's case it would. But I feel like there's a cross or some kind of like sisterly relationship between fear and anxiety, but stress and anxiety. So with that study, we were talking about being, simplicity, reducing what we have to manage between like getting rid of stuff we don't need to eliminating activities that are not necessary, and other things of that nature. And I feel like there's a cross, but that study could even help with the simplicity needed for, yes, focusing on God, but reducing anxiety, because anxiety, I think, since it's so closely related to stress, it's triggered by having too much of whatever, too much work, too many bills, whatever's the stressor, or two, because a lot of us have stressors. There's work, there's personal life, there's health, there's financial,
Yes. So, I totally agree. So being with, like when she was talking about our Bible study, Courageous Simplicity, they basically go in and teach you just kind of how to simplify your life. And so when you start to simplify your life by making the things around you simple, then it allows you to, it kind of allows you to do more of what you want to do, not feeling like you're going by popcorn and just doing other things like random. So one of the things that that I feel that helps with fear and anxiety is habit building. So they say to build a habit, you have to first start small. And so that start small would look like taking a drink of water, and to do, you have to set up your environment. That drink of water every morning, you might have to put a water bottle by up. You just take a drink of water, and that means you're getting your water intake for the day, but you had to set up your environment to do that. And so same with being fearful. Like for me, my biggest fear is getting out the house and doing things in public, which I've been working on. And so to do that, I actually have to set up my environment. And to set up my environment, what that'll look like for me is on a Sunday morning, on a Saturday, I'm preparing for a Sunday morning. That's going to look like getting my clothes out and having them laid out the night before, taking my shower before, doing everything that I need to do as far as prep work. So all I have to do is wake up that next morning. If the food is already prepped, then I can just cook, eat, and then go to a physical church. I attend church online right now. I personally don't think there's a difference between attending church in person versus online. I like them both. But getting back out into the community, that's something hard for me to do. Just taking those extra steps me to want to and have the desire to jump back into society and go. And so when you set up your environment, you're more likely to achieve your goals than when you don't set up your environment.
Well, speaking of that, setting up your environment to try to get out different kinds of discomfort, whether it's some kind of phobia or it's some kind of anxiety, like social anxiety, different mental health illnesses that cause us to be more at home when that's not necessarily what we need or is best for us. And I can tell you, before I had brain surgery, which was before either of you knew me, I had a severe case. I don't know if they called it acute or chronic, but it was a severe case of social anxiety. So I went through a process. That's how I was able to do like y'all know me to do, where you never know when I pop on this podcast where I'm going to be, right? So, I roam around town. Now that we know about Uber, because, when I didn't get out, part of it was also that Uber wasn't around. So without having a driver's license, I didn't really have much of a range as far as where I could go because I was limited to foot, just where I could walk. And so anyways, once I got at the point that I was in a good enough health that I could walk long distance. I'm talking miles and whatever. I'd sweat, but I wouldn't be like huffing and puffing. And I started off in range, like let's say a 2-mile radius around where we lived, that I thought I'd like going. And I made a system that at a certain time, Monday through Friday, I would have one place, and to be like maybe 12 or 1 in the afternoon when I went over there, and it was a Starbucks, and I would stay there until 6 or 6:30. That's when my parents would pick me up, and then they'd give me a ride home. So we started a system. But it was weeks at a time, if not months, before then I said, oh, now I'm going to try going to the McDonald's that's nearby to get my lunch and then walk back home to do the rest of my work at my home desk. But I did it a little at a time, where with me, it was one new place, go regularly on the regular system until I get adjusted and comfortable with that one place, and then add the second place, then add the third place. And I mean, it took a long time, 5 or 6 years, to where I actually felt where I could just go anywhere without having that anxiety or fear associated with being places that were in public. But I admit, it wasn't just me kind of gradually working myself up. It was also working with doctors by admitting that I had a fear of being in public. And they actually found mine was a mix of my Asperger's or autism that's usually accompanied by social anxiety, along with my paranoia, where I thought people were making fun of me. And anytime someone laughed, I could have sworn they were laughing at me, and I'd hear them making fun of me. And then it turns out, because after brain surgery and I didn't have that anymore, oh, these people are giggling at some joke. One of them just said, it's not even about me. But it was a fear because I heard what I heard. And then I knew when I'd approach people, they would look at me like, what are you talking about? We didn't say anything like that. And I always thought that was because they didn't want to admit that they were making fun of me. I would come back with, well, I heard you. I know you said it. No, serious. Admit it. And I apologize. It was a burden, and it gave me an image early in my career, but it was either way, one step at a time, until I eventually got where I could just roam. But like I said, it involved both working with doctors by talking to them about what you're experiencing so they can give you medication, or for those that want to go the holistic way, to talk to a holistic doctor about supplements that can help get you there where you're more comfortable, the anxiety, the fear, or in my case was also paranoia in addition, can be controlled so it's not as debilitating and, as I called it, as dominating. Like dominating my emotions, fear, and dominating my mind, emotions, and decisions.
Right. So I agree. Thinking about negative thoughts and where they take us, because we can spiral down a negative hole before we even take one step towards our official goal. So we can spiral down as far as just anywhere, negative thoughts like I can't do this. I'm not well enough. This is too hard. Um, you know, just anything that pops into your mind that prevents you from doing what you actually want to do. Some steps that I counter that when I'm at home versus out in public is I have signs up around the house that just empowers me and encourages me, and my wall behind me. Just different signs that says that I can achieve things and I am smart, I am empowered. Let go of the negative thoughts that don't make you strong, and just many different quotes that I try to look at so that I know that I am not thinking negative thoughts. And sometimes I've tried, even when I do go out in public, maybe having an index card with some quotes on it. So whenever you're feeling like, okay, this isn't really working, or I don't really feel like this, I'm not comfortable in this environment, then having like something written down on a sticky note or on an index card that gives you empowerment and uplifts you and encourages you to, say what you need to say. I mean, not need to say, but say what you want to do. A lot of times what's holding us back is not other people. It's our fear of what we think could be the outcome in any situation. Oh, what you had your hand up. Sorry.
She does.
Right.
So I was going to say what you were saying about how far down you get before you realize that before you make progress. Well, we're talking about being down, expressive mood. I like to point out that the same common that observe us as being down, another condition that's got a lot of stats, like what comes with some other conditions, like say light with PTSD and others that are low mood. It's not uncommon that when we're in those, we don't know. Oh, well, just the world's upside down. Life is horrible. Kind of like in our minds, it's the pandemic, which is probably the only point in my lifetime that actually everything really was horrible to have reason for so many of us to be depressed or light mode or other low moods, right? But now that we're back, for the most part, to our normal lifestyle with some new situations, some new systems in the new world. But a lot more often, I find that people don't know their mood is low. They think we're in this horrible event again. That's what's true of the pandemic, but modern day isn't true, at least to the best of everything I know going on, at least for those in America. Until somebody points it out to them, they're like, hey, you seem a little down. Have you seen your doctor lately? Or they say, oh, you seem a little sad, or like you're tired, or something they observe, and they're like, I think you might be depressed, or I think you might be in flight. Have you taken your medicine? Or they say something that then you gotta say, okay, I need to, if this is family or somebody else I trust, I need to take this serious. I know something's going on, but I don't know. But this somebody around me does know. So let's take it to my therapist or to my doctor or to my holistic doctor.
Or even just adjust your thought process at that moment. I know every once in a while my daughter will look at me and go, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine. Why?" She goes, "You look upset." And I'm like, I wonder what I was just thinking. If something was eating at me at that moment and it was showing on my face, but I wasn't really even paying attention to it, that negative thoughts coming in.
Well, I think both are true. What I said, because sometimes
yeah.
it's actually clinical, and is what I say this that applies, and then there's other times it's not clinical, and what you said would be helpful for the listener to do.
So true. I know I know a lot of times when sometimes you just don't know what words are coming out of your mouth. And, God says that you speak things into existence. And so when you say things that are against yourself, then you're really not saying, then you're saying, then those negative thoughts kind of feed into your life and you don't even realize it. And I know, as far as me, I have certain accountability people that I just talk to on a daily basis, and they go, "Oh, well, you're thinking negative today." And that kind of puts me like, I need to bounce back. I need to take some time to myself. Maybe I need to do a little bit of self-care so that I can get off of those negative thoughts and revert back to my normal self. So a lot of times it's kind of like you should, with you think that is good, if you have a lot of people in your life, so that if they notice something that you're experiencing and that you're going through, then you can kind of get some feedback from them to say, "Oh, okay, I'm not doing okay," or "I was not the best day, but how can I revert and make it better?" By speaking positive things over yourself and just into the atmosphere. Well, people, I don't even know. I say that I use the word, you speak it into existence, according to what the Bible says. Also that, what does Habakkuk say? Something about write your vision and make it plain. So when you do all of these things and you start speaking these correctly, then people call it the law of attraction. I mean, it's actually backed by science that when you start making positive changes in your life, that it reverts back. I think science calls it the law of attraction or something like that. But we as Christians, we use those Bible verses to kind of back up what that scientific fact to be true.
Well, and something that you hit on that I wanted listeners to catch. So you were talking about self-talk and talking about when we're talking to other people, it's all a matter of either conversation, self-talk, or talking to someone else. It's all about what we say. And I have personal experiences where I will think and believe I am saying one thing, and then what somebody else heard, keywords were different. So the whole message was different.
Wow.
And so with things like that, I think we sometimes need to pay closer attention to what we are saying. And when someone actually says that what we said was different than we intended, to look inside of ourselves and say, well, if I think I said something positive and somebody got something negative, that's, like my something I said had to do with talking about Friday, but my mom said I actually said Saturday. And it's like, okay, think what's going on in me. And if the message is like thought I said something great about Friday, and she says I said something horrible about Saturday, then to look inside myself and say, what is going on? Because if it's like you said, a trusted source that's giving me that feedback, something it really is going on that I need to reflect or take some kind of action. Like I said, there's the actions we can do, like journaling. There's the stuff that we can do, like talking to our providers, our different doctors, holistic doctors, and therapists. There's different things we can do and different people we can go to, but it starts with observing ourselves, what's going on within, instead of just jumping out to say, oh, well, my mom's just accusing me of something false I didn't do. Well, just because we're aware you did it doesn't mean you didn't do it. And then again, that's why we need those trusted sources. For people that don't have support system, that may be just their therapist or a different type doctor, but that's part of the reason for those of y'all that don't have them, that you need to expand your horizons to socialize with other people. Go to different social events, whether it's your church and it's a weekly Bible study that's during the week when there's less people, so you're not as likely to be uncomfortable because of being in a crowd, or it's going on meetup and joining a art crowd that gets together. It's a small group that gets together during the week for doing some kind of art, or another that's a hobby related that gets together to read a book and discuss it because y'all read different chapters together on, certain chapters per week. But to get out there, to be social, so they can then interact with those other people that have that shared interest and develop a social circle. And as that social circle grows, often their health will improve because they have support and encouragement instead of being alone. But then that comes back to listening and trusting that source, not thinking like the example I gave about, oh, well, they're misjudging me, or, they accuse me of something.
I totally agree. When it comes to a support system, you need to get out and definitely find some people who can support you in different ways. If you don't know what you need in a support system, if you look up DBT House, it's a kids activity, but it kind of walks you through some of the people that you need in your life, like I'll just give an example of some of the things that are on it. Who protects you? So who do you feel that is your protector? Do you feel like you're safe in your environment that you're in? Anyone who supports you, who do you feel that supports you? Like if anything was to happen in your life, who kind of has your back? And then just there are some other things on that house that are like really beneficial for just knowing and building the support, so that you know what's around you and like what you have and how that will help you. There are different stages to this whole support system, but I think it's important. And once you get the people that you need around you, like who are your friends? Do you have friends? Are you a loner? What can I do to make more friends? It's very important that every person, whether you're mentally ill or not, because I tend to find that there are a lot of people who aren't mentally ill who don't even have a support system, and they're kind of on their own, and they can handle it, yeah, but I think when they do, it's a lot of times they've just never heard about a support system. And so I find that people who aren't mentally ill that hear about, oh, having a support system, they go, oh, that's a really good idea. So, as far as being mentally ill, it's even more important for us to have a support system, because if anything ever happens to us that we can't handle, if we have people in our corner that want to support us, want to encourage us, and want to uplift us, then they're more apt to they're more apt to help you in a crisis versus look at you in a crisis and go, oh, I don't want to be bothered.
So another thing I see with what you're talking about of developing the social circle is also starting small and don't expect to be a big social circle. But also start with those more easily accessible, like how I live in a neighborhood. Then I could go to my 2 next doors and the 3 or 4 houses across the street from me that are like a square around my house. You know, that square or rectangle it draws, my house is on one side of it, and then there's the 2 on each side of my house across and in the middle. So it's very immediate neighbors. If they're in a developed area like this, where I'm in a community, even though I'm in a rural part of town. And I think they need to also accept that it's okay for it to be a small group, even though a lot of stigma in the world leads us to believe that we want to compete with who has the biggest social group. So everybody's trying to meet new people and get to know a lot of people and talk about how many people they know versus the just being comfortable with a certain amount of people in their support system. But also when they're answering those questions that you were giving us, CSNAP, they need to also know that it's okay and actually a good thing if they have multiple people that are the answers to those who questions. Who is your support? It's actually better if you have a lot of people, whether the last 3 or it's 4, however many, but more than one. But the starting point is to have one for each of those and to actually use them as your resource when you experience those different emotions. Because like think of the people you're talking about that don't have mental illnesses but don't have support systems either. They probably have a lot more stress than we do because they don't have those people helping out. So they may not be depressed or anxious or others, but they're probably very stressed. So they don't have somebody sharing it.
Oh, I was just saying, so true.
Yeah, it's because everybody has stress. Not everybody has an illness, but everybody has stress. So they probably have a larger load because they have more and less people to say delegate, like we talk about in that. And again, the courageous and delegating certain things to the children, they're there, others to the wife, as a man, or the vice versa. But say 4 people team, they can distribute out different people to different parts. Versus say you or I, we're just one person without another half and without kids. Well, but what if we didn't have a family too? That actual one person that's actually alone. So they probably have more stress, which means the quality of life probably is not as good. And with the support system, with these activities to get them out and meet people, even if it starts with just meeting.
So true. I guess for me, I just did a quick search and they do have an adult DBT house, which is slightly different from the kids DBT house. So I would encourage both of those. And like really just with the whole support system, just it's good to have those people. And you just you never know when you'll need someone. And so if you can develop that, then it's definitely important to do that. Yeah. So I guess to wrap it up, let's bring it back around full circle. If you're experiencing fear, which is false evidence appearing real, then you do not want to look at what you think is going on. Take away those negative thoughts out of your focus at hand and believe that you can do it. start saying that I can do this, or I will do this, and I can do this, affirmations. And so just do that. Build your support system up. Don't if you're more apt to do something with a friend. So if you can just find one friend, then you already have a friend to tackle that situation with you instead of being alone. A lot of times going at it with a friend makes you follow through more. So definitely go at it with a friend to do more. Yeah, so that way you're not alone. I know from my experience, a lot of times I don't want to do anything because I don't have anybody with me. But also don't be afraid to do things by yourself. And so that takes a lot of getting better at being alone. If you don't know, if you can't go out in public alone, then that takes a lot of courage. And, that's a whole nother Bible verse.
Start with the small steps. If you can't go out alone, just go to the mailbox and back. It doesn't have to be some big trip to a park or to a crowd or anything. Just step out the front door. But I know I had trouble with that.
I think also where she said, don't be afraid to do things alone is counterproductive. Where we're trying to tell people to develop a support system. And just the only thing is we want them to know there are certain things it's good to do alone, like sweeping and mopping, but that doesn't mean you don't need a support system just because there's things you can do alone. The reality is an in-between of the independence, say that you can clean the house by yourself, or especially one room or something small space by yourself, but you have a support system for areas where you need others. Like say in my case that I don't drive, so in order to get these places I roam, I need that somebody else, whether it's an Uber driver, it's a friend, it's a client that you trade something like ride for some service or product, however you do it. But that where you have the needs, you find the support system and develop the support system and work out a system where y'all are helping each other, but that you also do independently what we're expected to do independently. Like you don't expect me as being close to 40 to still be getting my parents to help clean my house. You expect me to be able to clean it myself as an adult. So that's where I say that with where you started and then where you're ending, the real truth is we need to be somewhere in the middle with having both.
Right. What I was trying to say is for the people who kind of don't have a support system, that means they have to go out into the world alone. So I'm saying don't be afraid to take that step to go out into the world.
Because going out into the world will help you get that support system.
Right. Yeah. You're going to need to take that first step if you don't have it so that you can.
I was touching base where she said, don't be afraid to do things alone, because that's what seems counterproductive of going out, developing the circle that you actually need. You may not even realize they need.
Right.
So,
all right. Well, this has been a great session. You did a great job there, C-Snaps. And again, this has been another episode of JAWS Coffee Chat, Mental Health Awareness. We're here every Monday at 2:30 Central Time, 3:30 Eastern Time. I think that's right. All these time zones. Oh, my goodness.
You got it.
And does anybody else have any other announcements that they want to pop in here right at the last? Jennifer?
Yes, actually, I want to tell everybody that in the next week, we're going to have a opportunity where different listeners can support our podcasting through a app that's it's technically not an app, it's technically an AI, artificial intelligence, that's used for marketing a business for the person that owns that. And it's $99 a month, unlimited usage, an unlimited number of followers, subscribers, or list of people on your email, or all kinds of other unlimited. It's great for small businesses if they only use artificial intelligence to do digital marketing for them. After they've been a few hours to do the initial setup, which they actually, on this AI that you will find on our website, they have videos and stuff that guide you through how to set up. But once it's set up, it works for you and you don't have to do anything. And that's the difference with the AI versus an actual regular app or system, the old school MailChimp and stuff. But this one you will find on to jensbooksandmore.com, JENN booksandmore.com, and look under our products for product AI. And there you will find this item. If you are curious about what else we do, you can surf around on that website, find books that I, Jennifer A. Whitaker, have written, books that are written by my clients and I participate in somehow, like publishing or editing or something else. And you'll also find books by our other guest speakers of different shows, like the Jaws Christ Talk show. There's one of the regular speakers in it. One of his books is on our website, and then you'll find other products like nutrition, like supplements and other nutrition related. Anyways, it's a long, wide variety in addition to professional services. So if you want to learn more about us, see our podcast, or find all these other items we have to offer, go to JENNS books, ANDMORE.com.
Excellent. All right. Well, thanks again to everybody for joining us today. Once again, Lawrence Wingate of Wingate TV, Marcus Hart of Transform You Media, Zach Clayton of the PAC Channel, and Jay Stoyan of the Disability Channel, all for showing our show, replaying our shows on their platforms. We'll be back next week. I believe that's July 3rd, right before the holiday.
Can you speak?
Nope, I can't. So I'm going to stop talking now and say, until we see you next time, have a great week, stay healthy, be productive, and have an enjoyable week. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Recording stopped.